What's up, guys? This is the Board Game Roamer. I'm back with Too Many Bones, a game by Chip Theory Games. We left off last time. We had just completed a battle, and our gear locks were working through the recovery phase, so that's where we're going to pick up. What I was doing was the beginning of the recovery phase. I showed you this Trove Loot card. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to work on this lock and unlock this baby. So as I said before in the previous video, during the recovery phase, there's two things that everybody can do, period, and that is trade loot and make lockpicking attempts. So we're going to start with Ghillie, since it is, after all, his Trove Loot, and we're going to attempt lock picking to do that. So what we do is we have these 4 dice. This white dice is the intuition die, and then there are 3 dice. They each have a different color. So each one of these colors, although they have 6 different faces, each one of these colors has a better chance of rolling a particular type of lock. So if you look on the card, you'll see trip, lever, and force. Okay, and so this yellow die is the trip die. Has a chance to roll up to like a 3 trip on it. Brown is the lever, up to a 3 lever, and gray is force, up to a 3 force. And they have some of the other sides, but they primarily have the best chance of rolling whatever the color they are. So we're going to start. We have to go from left to right. We cannot just pick one, but we have to go from left to right. And once we have all 3 unlocked, then we can see what's on the other side. And we can unlock more than one in a day, but if we fail the first attempt of the day and don't get to unlock it, then we actually get to try it again. But if we ever unlock one on the first attempt and then fail to unlock the second one, then we're done. All right, so let's just start with this. All right, cool. So this is actually, wow, that's probably about the best roll we can make. So we've got the lever die has a 3L. This symbol here means that we could add one to one of these die faces, and we get to keep the die. So we'll just say we'll add it to the lever die to make it a 4L. So the first lock has been solved. Now we just need 1 trip. And so once we've done that, once we've rolled and we use a die to unlock, then we take all the remaining die, but in this case all 3 die, since we have that save, and we roll them all again. And okay, so we're looking for 1 trip. That's next on the list, but in this case we didn't get any trip. But this die face allows us to re-roll 1 die, so I'm going to re-roll the yellow die because that's the trip die, has the best chance of getting a trip. And did not make it. So that finishes Ghillie's. We've unlocked this first one. So now we'll go to Tantrum, and we'll let Tantrum roll, see what he can do. Remember, he's starting on 1 trip. He does the same thing, does not get tripped, so we're going to re-roll the yellow die. There we go. So we got a +1 and a save. So the trip lock has been unlocked. Now we're looking for 3 force. Oh, there we go. This is a conversion. If for some reason, by any chance, we had rolled, say, like a 3L, but we needed a 3 force, we could have actually used this to convert that lever to force. But as it stands, we actually unlocked it, fortunately. That was a pretty simple one. Some of these have 5 and 6 in their locks. They're making them very difficult. So let's see what we got. We got Poison Vial Kit, permanent backup plan extension. Choose one of your rolled attack dice and add a poison effect die for the same amount to its target. Wow, that's really good. So that's going to go over here on Ghillie, and that is going to sit there. So a backup plan extension is just basically an additional ability that we have other than what's printed on the mat. So now we could almost imagine kind of like another ability sitting right here, and that's this one to add poison damage, which is going to be really, really good, especially since he's ranged. So that's the lockpicking attempt. There are individual options. Ghillie has, Ghillie's at full health. I like his stuff. Yeah, I like his loot. So he'll just do a scout. So let's scout and see what we got coming up next. Now we need to keep in mind that the next couple days is going to be day 3 and 4, which is going to be 6 points and 8 points, which means we're going to have our first 5-point baddie. So let's roll and see what happens. Well, we're going to search Scout of 1, and that is a bog frog, poison 2. It is melee. It's got 4 health. I think again I'm going to keep it because that's not a lot of health, and at least I know it's coming. So that's his roll. Tantrum, however, did get hurt in the last battle. So I'm going to just rest and recover. Use the option to fully heal him from the battle. So that was day 2 completed, and now let's move on to day 3. So the first thing we do is we rotate our counter to day 3. We draw our card, and this is the standard card that we're going to draw every time you play. After this, then we'll start the normal random encounters. So crossing the Sebron River. The Sebron River, a glistening vein of trade running the length of daelore, playfully beckons as it shimmers in the daylight up ahead. But with so few bridges in these parts, the crossing is an obvious spot for enemy scouts and traps. A journey of this importance leaves only 2 options. Tucking the ears and trying to blend in is risky but efficient, but a boat at the dusk carries less chance of discovery and requires business with the Molnar, a trading syndicate with their own set of drawbacks. So basically what these guys do is we have 2 options. Neither one of them are combat options. So we can roll a d6, and if we roll a 1 or a 2, then the Tyrant's card excuse me, the Tyrant's card, Mulmesh's card, is going to come out. Now, he only had 1 Tyrant card that was put in the encounter deck, but it's basically going to be moved to the top, essentially forcing it to be the next card that we encounter if either one of us rolls a 1 or a 2. If we do that, we gain an extra progress and a training point. Or we can take the second option, and we can hire the Molnar, which is an automatic success, and we get a trove loot, but we add a special card in that's called does it say the Molnar Traders card, which there's going to be potential drawbacks. While I do like the fact that both of them would get a trove loot, that card is you play Dangerous Darts, which is a mini game that is very much rigged against you. It's very hard to deal with. So I'm going to opt to go for this top option and get the 2 progress and the training point. Now this says encounter success is achieved no matter the outcome. So even if I fail the roll, essentially, and roll a 1 or a 2, this still counts as a success, and I'm still going to get the progress and the training point and the second progress. So the 2 progress and the training point. So let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and 1, 2. There's my 2 progress. Let's go ahead. I guess, well, let's take that back. I guess I should do this in order. So let's roll D6. That was for Ghillie. This D6 roll is for Tantrum. Okay, so we managed to roll high enough that we do not have to move that card up. So we get our 2 progress total, 1, 2, and then they each get a training point. So what I'm gonna do for Ghillie, I think, I'm trying to decide if I want multi-arrow, piercing arrow, or return fire. Return fire basically is a ranged lash back. If they hit you, you get to hit them back. Piercing arrow gets rid of defense, but then if they have thick skin, which basically is a damage absorption that's separate from defense or in addition to defense. Yeah, that suspends it. Multi-arrow is where you can roll and apply your primary attack, and then some number of dice you can apply to a secondary target. I think I'm going to go with piercing arrow because I know we're going to get into the territory where some of these guys are going to start having thick skin, and that can be very, very annoying because you'll roll just enough to get through the defense and thick skin, and then nothing to actually apply to them damage-wise. So that's that card, and literally that quick. That is a day 3. So we're going to put the card over here, and we're going to go through our normal end of day process where we can make lockpicking attempts. We don't need to do that. A trade loot, we don't need to do that. I still like their loot. And then individual options, neither one of them need to rest and recover. Neither one of them want to change their loot, so we'll just do some more scouting is really all we need to do because they both have full health. So we'll start again with Ghillie, who scouts another 1. So we know that the next one is going to be this bog pole. The one after that is another kobold tracker. I feel like we can keep him. And we'll just roll the third one. Oh, that's another 1 point. Alright. And Dragon Whelp, 2 attack, 1 defense. Weaken 1, so if what that means is every time it attacks, it's going to reduce the dex value of our gear lock by 1. It is ranged. We'll keep it. Again, I could keep sending these to the back, but I don't think they're too bad. I think that there are ways definitely to deal with them. So that is day 3. Now let's go to day 4. And this will be the first randomized encounter that we've seen. This one is called Something Shiny This Way Cometh. Being concealed in a small outcropping of trees allows our party to appreciate the wilderness scene at dusk, but our reprieve is cut short when someone notices the waving light of a lantern being carried by 2 figures headed toward the glow of a larger fire about 100 arrow lengths away to the northwest. Unfortunately, gear locks are easily distracted by bright and shiny things, and we are soon on our feet once again. Okay, so, right. We have 2 options. They're both combat options. We can draw 2 5-point baddies and fight them now. And then if we win, we fight again, but we subtract 8 points, which actually would be, well, basically just fight 5. And if we fail, we don't get anything. The other option is to wait, and we take our baddie queue, roll a d6 twice, and add that number to baddie points. And we have surprise, which means we're going to be at the top of the list. That gives us an additional training point. So the only problem is if I rolled 12, then that would be like a 20 point. But if I rolled the average, let's say 6, then I would be fighting 6 and 6. Well, it would be 8 plus 6 would be 14, so that'd be 2 5s and 4 1s. Or I could just fight 2 5s, basically. And because of the subtraction on the second round, I mean, I would immediately, I would win. Basically, I would win the battle. An additional training point is very, very tempting, but I'm already going to get 2 training points, and everybody's going to get a loot. I just really feel like this could go really, really bad for us. And we could be potentially fighting 3 5s instead of 2 5s, or, I mean, if we rolled 2 6s, a 20. Which honestly, I would probably almost rather fight the 120 than I would 2 5s, but I mean, the odds of that happening are pretty slim. Let's go with this. We'll go with this top option, follow an ambush. So it says we have to fight the top, draw 2 5-point baddies for draw 2 5-point baddies your party fights in now. So before the battle begins, Ghillie gets to do his search, his scout action as his innate ability. So we're going to pull the top 5 and see what it is. That is a dire wolf, 6 hit points and lash back 2, but it has 4 attack die. That's pretty nasty. I don't know, maybe we can burn him down. Alright, we know he's gonna be Alright, I may regret this, but let's keep him. Alright, so we'll draw 2 5-point baddies. To the side. And we'll have 6 hit points for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good Lord. Oh, throwing the chips off the table. 5, 6. That's scary. He's got as many hit points as our heroes. And the second one is, okay. So this is a Engulf and Weaken 2 Dragon Delinquent. This is bad, but it has Engulf, which maybe we can use to our advantage. But he also has 7 hit points. 6, 7, and he is ranged. And that's going to be lane 2. Alright, lane 1 initiative is 4. Lane 2 initiative is 6, so basically he's probably going to go first. And the Weaken 2 is he reduces the dex by 2, but that's if he rolls a bone. Which, I mean, he's rolling 4 dice and he's including a defense dice. The defense dice have more bones than the attack dice, so there's a pretty good chance he would do that. But this is a good example of why Ghillie's that piercing arrow is going to be great, because I can actually use that die to get rid of a bunch of his defense. If he rolled, let's say, 2 2s on his defense dice and he had 4 defense, I could knock that defense down real quick with Ghillie, and then that damage would just go straight to him. So that's him. So now let's roll our initiatives. And put this over here. We have a 4. Oh wow, 4 and a 5. So we're gonna go before the dire wolf. Ghillie's gonna go first, and then Tantrum. So where do we want to position ourselves? I think I'm actually going to position Tantrum. I'm going to position him in front of the direwolf for now. And then Ghillie I'm going to put back here in the corner. The idea being that since they both have the same, Ghillie and Tantrum both have the same hit points, since they attack the weakest, this is going to attack Tantrum first, which is going to do two things. Number one, if he gets hit, it's going to give him, oh gosh, did I do this to the body count? I think, I could be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure I killed at least one with Tantrum last time around. I forgot to up the body count. It's going to hit him, but it's also going to do damage to the direwolf, and that damage is not going to do any damage to us because of the lashback. I mean, that damage is not coming from us. That's coming from Mr. Dragon Delinquent. So, yeah. All right. We did our scout ability with Ghillie for the battle. Okay, so let's do this. So the Dragon Delinquent rolls Chihuahua 2 and 2. And okay. So he rolled a 2 and a 1 on defense. Those actually go on him. And then he did 2 damage. So remember we set our rage die on Tantrum, so that's going to clock up twice from 1.0 to 1.4. And he is going to take 2 damage. And more importantly, the all adjacent units, regardless of whether they're Gearlock or Baddie, take 2 damage, which means this guy takes 2 damage. Nice. Way to keep it classy, Mr. Dragon Delinquent. So that's him. So next is Ghillie. I think I'm actually gonna wait. So I've got a couple options here. The first option would be to pull the Wolverine out, but I kind of don't want to do that because then his attacks will target the Wolverine and not Tantrum. And I'm going to attempt to, on Tantrum's turn, I'm going to attempt to put his Hardy ability out there. And I may even use his axe collector, his axes, throwing axes, to get rid of the, well, I can't do that. I'm going to use his Hardy ability and try to throw up a defense. But what I can do is I can use Ghillie's piercing to get rid of the defense, and then I can roll all 3 attack die against him. The idea being that hopefully I can burn through his defense and then do a bunch of damage, and that way he'll be a lot easier to kill later on. So let's do that. So he's up there. Kind of try to keep these separate so I can keep up with who's gone and done what. All right. Okay. So we have a bone. Put that in the backup plan. All right. So then we have, man. Yeah, I think actually what I'm going to do, I was really kind of hoping for more damage over here. And I did not get it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Ghillie's backup plan, using the bone that I just rolled, to switch target. So basically what that does, that allows me to, after I've rolled, to target a different baddie. So in this case, you know, because I didn't roll really well, and as much as I would like to use that precision firing that I've done with my piercing arrow, that's just not enough damage for me. Because I rolled that bone, which is fine, but I really would have rather had all 3 of those hit and at least one of those be a 2 to do at least 4 damage, which is almost half. So I'm going to use my backup plan to switch targets, and I'm not going to use the piercing arrow, and I'm going to switch my target to the direwolf and do 2 more damage to it. All right. So if I can get some defense on here, then for Tantrum, and maybe get rid of the direwolf. Yeah. Okay. So next up is, that's Ghillie. So I'll move him up. Next up is Tantrum. I'm going to roll, I think I'm going to go ahead and roll his Hardy. That die, the like a kobold die. He's got a dex of 3. I think I need to go ahead and try to put up a defense just in case this Hardy die does not do well. Let's see. So the other option, I can use Axe Collector once per turn, and I can down tick that number to automatically do 2 damage to any non-adjacent baddie. So I couldn't do the damage to him. I'd have to do the damage to the Dragon Delinquent, but 2 damage would just get rid of his defense and not do any real damage. So I'm gonna wait. So let's roll this and see what happens. All right, not exactly what I wanted. That would allow me to collect an axe, but I already have a full amount of axes, so I'm not going to use that. That's 1 defense. I will put that up there. All right, I'm going to do. I'm going to take my body count and go ahead and use it. Add 1 hit point back because I think I'm fixing to need it. Do 1 damage. No, I'm not going to do any. I'm not going to apply that damage to the direwolf, because if I do, he's going to do 2 back, which is going to burn through my defense, and then I'm going to have to eat 4 attack die immediately after that. So let's just leave that defense in place and try to mitigate as much damage as we can. I think next turn we can get rid of him, and then things will be a lot better. So let's do the direwolf's attack. All right, so that is 4. Wow, 4 damage. So, and that's going to be against Tantrum. So the first one comes off as defense. That leaves 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we uptick this to 3, which is going to take us to 2.0. So now the deal is I've got to calm down to be able to go to the next die. Okay. So I'm going to actually be hoping for bones, or it may just not happen. I may not be able to use his ability. I'd really like to get to the second die because A, it has some healing, and B, if I could get it all the way up to 2.8, then I could execute either one of these guys. Hopefully I could get up to the Dragon Delinquent and execute him, and he would just be off the mat. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So that's the entire first round. Round 2, Dragon Delinquent goes. He already has 2 defense, so he rolls 2 attack die. And he does 2 damage, and he is targeting, and he's targeting the weakest, so that's Tantrum. Tantrum is out. Tantrum has been knocked out. That rage die is exhausted. That really sucks. But I mean, that happens, and like I said before, this game is not for the faint of heart. All right, so we're gonna roll the Wolverine. We're gonna roll. going to roll the Wolverine, and I'm not going to use piercing arrow. We're going to roll 3 attack die. We're going to roll against the dire wolf, because 4 attack dice is just a lot of attack dice, especially with lashback. All right, so what do we got here? We have a backup plan, and we have 2 damage. That's enough to kill him. I don't want to switch the targets, so that's enough to kill him, which is good. He's a 5 point, so we're going to put him over here in the defeated stack for 5 points. And then, yeah, then I'm going to bring out my boy, and he's going to have 2 hit points, and he is going to take a dex to maintain. I can place him diagonally, so I'll place him like so. Why did I place him like that? Well, remember, these are targetable by the baddies. Your companions and your pets are targetable by the baddies. They call them companions. So if I placed him here or here, when he attacks and he hits him, if he was here or here, he would also hit me. This way he'll hit him. He has heart, he's only going to do 1, but he will not hit me. And hopefully that's going to give me a little bit of time. And he's going to go first. He's only going to do 1. And he'll be able to move up, and so even if I don't kill him this turn, next turn he's going to roll, probably hit him, and then he'll actually do damage to himself, and then I'll be able, hopefully, to finish him off. So that's what I'm that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see what happens. So that's the end of round 2. Round 3. Again, he has 2 defense, so he just starts with 2 attacks, and he's targeting the Wolverine. He rolls a bone, which is weakened, which has no effect on them. He does 2 damage, but he only actually does 1 because of the hardy ability that the little Yeti has. Nobody is adjacent. So then it's Ghillie's turn, but on Ghillie's turn, the pets go first, companions go first, so he will go first. He gets to move up to 2. He'll do his move. He does an automatic attack. Now, this is kind of a strategical thing. I don't think that the rules, or even in the FAQ, it states the order that we have to remove, tick down the dice. So I could either take out the 1 or tick down the 2. And I'm going to choose to tick down the 2 to 1. That way he doesn't roll another die and potentially get a 2. So that's why I'm doing it that way instead of getting rid of one of the dice. All right. So that's his turn. Ghillie, remember he's got 3 attack dice, and he's got his piercing arrow. I think I'm actually... he only has 3 decks left, though. So let's just go ahead and roll the piercing arrow and see if we can't do any good. Wow, that is horrible. Oh wait, hold on. That may not be horrible. Oh, no. So that's not going to do us any good this time, but we can potentially use this next turn. Poison Vial. Remember that? It says choose one of your rolled attack dice and add a poison effect die for the same amount to its target. So if we roll a 1 or a 2, we could add a poison effect now that we've got enough in the backup plan. So I'm not going to use this again, because I think this next turn could be very damaging. Alright, on to round 4. He goes again, the dragon goes again. Again, his target is Little Yeti. He's going to roll. Yes, thank you. He rolls 3. So he does 3 to the Yeti, to our Wolverine, which exhausts him, it kills him. But the important part is because he was adjacent, he actually does 3 to himself, which means both of these defense dice go away, and he takes 1 damage to himself. All right, so that is definitely what we wanted. So this next time, so Ghillie's going to roll. There's no sense in there's no point in rolling the Pierce now because there is no thick skin or anything, and he has no defense. So we're going to roll 3 attack and 1 defense, just because we've got 4 decks and can. No, we don't. We have 3 decks. Never mind, because we had to have it technically to use keep the pet out. So we're going to roll this attack, and we're going to hope that we can apply some poison. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's 4 damage total. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. He only has 2 left. All right. Then I'm going to use the backup plan, which says choose one of my attack dice. I'll choose the 2 and add a poison effect die with the same value to the target. So we're going to put a poison 2 on the dragon delinquent. All right. And I used 2. That was a backup plan extension 2, so I used 2 attack dice to do that. That's the end of that round. We go to round 5. So, beginning of the round, first thing that happens, this guy's going to take 2 true damage. Now, in this case, he doesn't have defense, but if he had, say, if he had this still and had 2 defense die, he would still take the 2 damage. True damage bypasses defense dice, and it bypasses thick skin, but it does not bypass hardy. It just still does 1 damage. Okay, so having said that, he's going to take 2 poison damage, which is 1, 2, and he is defeated. Whew, that was close. Very close to being very bad. But we overcame, which is great. So let's set that out. Let's move Ghillie back to his mat. All right, take his initiative die back over here. Reset the round counter so we won't forget. So let's do supply our rewards. We chose the top one, so we're not going to get this reward. So we're going to get 1 progress point, 2 training points, and everybody gets a loot. Okay. All right, so 1 progress. We'll go ahead and move that over here. We only need 1 more progress, and then we can choose to face Mulmesh. So that's 1 progress. We'll do the loot. Everybody gets a loot. Shuffle the loot. I'll shuffle the loot on screen so you guys see that. All right. All right. So the loot will be Ghillie, Tantrum. Oops. All right, and then training point. So I'll start with the loot. So Ghillie gets a mech pick. During your lock pick attempt, you may bypass a lock of 4 or less without using an action die. I don't know if we're really going to need that because we already have 1 trove loot, and I'm not sure there's really going to be enough days to worry with that, but we'll see. Next option, fresh bog meat. Single use, it's a heal. In battle, heal yourself for 5 hit points, then add a poison 2 effect die to your gear lock. So you would net basically 3 hit points. But I mean, hey, that is healing for Tantrum, which is good. Okay. So that's the loot, and then we have 2 training points each. So I think for Tantrum, I'm gonna up his health to 7. All right. And then I'm torn between Cripple and Way of the Wild. So Cripple would let me reduce the number of attack die on a baddie permanently for the fight. Way of the Wild would let me, on a 2 and 3 chance, completely disable all of the skills for a 5-point baddie, which could be very, very helpful. Or Innervate has a jump, basically as a jump, a 2 and 3 chance to jump. I can literally go anywhere on the board I want to go before I make my attack. I think I'm going to take Way of the Wild, just because disabling those abilities. Some of these baddies don't do a lot of damage, just straight up like attack and defense. They're, what really makes them shine is their abilities. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that is his 2 training points. Ghillie, I'm going to put this back over here. Actually, this actually goes back over here. For his 2 training points, I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do Tiger. Give me another pet, potentially. And I'm also going to do, I think I'm going to do Return Fire. The reason I'm taking Return Fire is not as much, although it is definitely helpful, the Return Fire, basically the ranged lashback, but it's because it opens in the zone, which can potentially do a ton of damage. So that's what I'm going to do with that. So that's my skills. So then we go to the rest and recovery phase. Do we want to trade any loot? Well, let's find out in the next episode. So we're going to end it right here. If you guys have something to look forward to, this is Too Many Bones by Chip Theory Games. This is we're playing with Ghillie and Tantrum, and we've just completed day 4. This encounter card, they were successful. We've done their encounter rewards, and we're going to do the rest and recovery phase. And basically, what we got left to do on that is they just have to choose one of those 3 options. So we'll choose one of those 3 options in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, guys.